live stream show where I'm showcasing some of the amazing talent that we have available in Australia. And you can find them all on womenspeakers.com.au. Thank you. And the reason that I set this up, sorry, this is only my second one, so I'm going to get my intro right, is that there are only 30% of speakers at business events who are women, and we need to change that to 50%. So my first guest is the amazing Andrea Putting, or Putting. How do you say
Putting.
your surname?
Putting.
Oh, great. So, Andrea, why don't you tell everybody what it is that you like to talk about and why?
Oh,
Nice,
I absolutely love talking about chocolate and coffee breaks, which is all about bringing people together over chocolate and coffee and sharing stories and learning about somebody new and getting in their perspective in life. So that's about breaking down barriers that divide us. So it can be in the community and also, it happens in business. If you want people to work together, you've got to get them connecting.
Yes.
So that is one of the things that I can talk until I'm blue in the face. Let me go and I'll just talk about it forever. And the other thing that I can talk about forever as well is social impact. So that is a topic that I have written books on, and I have researched and had a podcast on, that's all about encouraging people and business to get involved in having a social mission in their life, and how it is that they can find the one that's going to speak to them and bring them alive, like I do when I talk about chocolate and coffee breaks. So it's a really powerful message, and I believe that it's what brings us alive. It's what takes us to the next step in our life rather than.
And I think it's also at the moment when people are looking at different ways of working, and we know that, the pandemic and the impact that it's had, that a lot of people have gone back going, I don't want to just work in a bank and just help make them profit. I want to make change happen in the world. So I think your topic is really timely for a lot of organizations.
Yes. And it's really important one for businesses to look at. And when I say that, once in one breath, I'm saying having a social mission in your business is really good for productivity, innovation, and profit.
Yep.
However, if you do that, if you take on a social mission just so that you're going to have that additional profit, or that because, it'll make the employees happy.
Yeah.
Forget it. It won't
No,
work.
it's got to come from a place of passion, I guess, but also caring about something.
Yeah. Yeah. So my message is about how do you find that thing that you really care about, that so that in a community it can, or business, you're looking at something that everyone is going to feel passionate about and be able to and want to get involved in. And that kind of changes their perspective on getting up and going to work every morning, which can be a bit of a drag.
Absolutely. And I'll get you to tell me a story, if you can, about an organization that you've spoken for that's embraced some kind of an impactful mission. But in the meantime, what kind of audiences do you like, Andrea? What kind of speaking gigs are your sweet spot? What kind of, audience, industry, gender, size, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Oh, every speaking gig I love in some way. So, I'll talk to audiences from 2 to 3 until 200 plus. But so to find a sweet spot would be 30 to 50, I guess. And having leaders of business or community are the people that I find that they're in the position to make that impact and to make those decisions. So they're the ones that are the sweet spot for
your ideal audience.
Yeah.
And what about your background? What's led you to speaking? Tell us a little bit about the book and all the other things that you've done. Certainly, I've had a look on your LinkedIn profile. There's plenty there.
Yes, there is plenty. What led me to speaking? I've spoken all my life. My mother cannot remember the first time that I spoke, because that is
because it just has always been there since a baby.
It's just always been there. It was the church I grew up with just put all the children. you're a child, you can speak, get up in front of people and speak. So that gave me a great grounding. So I've always had that opportunity
Right.
to speak, and not to say I certainly have also spent a lot of money developing my speaking skills, because it was such an important thing that if I want to speak to the world, I have to make sure that it's impactful. So I have done a lot of that as well.
Well, I guess I'm thinking a little bit more about your career journey
Yeah.
and what's led to, obviously you've been speaking all the way through. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your career background?
Yeah. So, yeah, I often go through the whole gamut, but I was an at-home mum, and when the kids went to school, I went back to school. I studied naturopathy,
Okay.
which people go, well, how come you're where you are now? But that's the whole story, isn't it?
Yeah, tell me the story. We've got time.
I so from naturopathy, I then started my own business way back in the dinosaur era of the internet.
Same. I'm with you.
Yep.
When you had
Last
to plug
century.
it in order to retrieve your emails or send
Oh,
emails.
yeah. So dial-up internet, no Google, no PayPal, no Facebook, and I had to learn HTML to build the website.
Right. Wow.
So back in those era. So I had that business for about 7 years, and it was starting to really quite build up. But I lost my passion. It was like I was sitting here day
Well,
after
so what
day.
was the business though? What were you focusing on in
So
those
I
days?
had an online healing center is what it
Okay,
called.
right.
And so I was selling a lot of natural products, and I'd found my niche in a particular product.
Yeah.
And so I was sending out hundreds of kilos of this product every week. It was
What was
nuts.
it? Can you tell us?
Apricot kernels.
Oh my God, right. Well, I remember when that was a real thing too for
Yeah.
exfoliating. Okay, so you were the one sending out stacks of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I lost my passion. I sat here one day and go, well, why did I go to college for 4.5 years to study naturopathy and go through all that pain and agony with
And
small
then find
children,
it's not your jam.
and I'm sitting here in front of the computer and sending out parcels. It's like, no, that's not really
What I want to do.
what I want to do. It wasn't filling my boat anymore. So then I sold the business and I went and worked for somebody else.
Right. Okay.
And so I was able to use my naturopathy and all my management and business skills that I had learnt from having my own business. However, after a while, that wasn't really filling my boat either, because somebody else's business, and I have this mind that goes to all these visions of what it could be, and what not my visions to have.
Right.
But there was also a lot of underlying other things that I wasn't happy with, especially when I was dealing with corporate businesses that I was with what I was doing and what they were doing to small business, and I could just see the whole thing.
Yeah,
And
right.
so there was that, and there was all this stuff going on within the business, and it just got to that point where I can't do this any longer. And one day I was standing at the train, going across to the train station to go home from work, and I looked up and saw the express train. I thought, it would be so easy to step in front of that train.
Oh
No,
my God,
no,
Andrea.
no.
Right.
It's like, that's not me. I don't think like that. So it was a real wake-up call for me. And
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
so I did leave my job, and I went on this big search of, well, what is it? And this is where my naturopathic background came in, is because the first thing I learned at naturopathic college, and that was drummed in me for 4.5 years, was you treat the cause.
Right.
So I was going, well, what's the cause of this? Why are people unhappy? I had been at home when I was at home with the kids, and my husband was working up to 80 hours a week to keep things going, and so he was miserable, and what that effects I had on the
Yeah.
family. And then as a business owner, what was missing to stop people from enjoying their business and staying in touch with that passion that started, because you start a business, you want to make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. You're bubbling over with excitement and ideas.
Yeah, and then you lose that under the piles of everyday paperwork and dreary stuff that you get stuck doing. And then what was it then and why were employees so unhappy? So I went on this search about employee engagement and what was it that was missing. And then right in the middle of that, I had this thing happened while I was sitting here on my computer looking out of this view that happened almost 10 years ago. And it was the siege at a chocolate cafe in Sydney back in
Oh, yes, the Lindt Cafe.
2024.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and watched it happening, and there was this Muslim guy who had taken the cafe hostage. Now, in the aftermath, 2 innocent victims and the gunman were left dead.
Yeah.
Now, because the gunman said that he was doing this in the name of Allah, there was fear there'd be retaliation against the Muslim community. But instead, what happened was 150,000 people flooded social media with the hashtag I will ride with you, offering to ride the train, the bus, or the ferry with the
Yes,
Muslims
that was
to
so
ensure their
beautiful.
safety. And it was so beautiful. It just touched my heart so much that this is the world I want to live in. We need to be speaking up and doing this all the time.
Yeah.
And so that sat with me for a while. And then 12 months later, I started Chocolate and Coffee Day for Religious Harmony. And all I ask people is to reach out to someone who's different to you and share a chocolate and coffee.
Oh, I
Share
love it.
stories. So simple. Anyone can
Yeah.
do it. And chocolate and coffee is not that expensive. No big preparation or anything. Just invite someone and have a conversation. Because when we do, we break down these barriers that divide
Right.
us.
And
So
so,
that's kind of evolved into chocolate and coffee breaks, because why keep this goodness for one day a year?
absolutely. And then from there, you started to form a keynote that you would go out and talk about chocolate and coffee. Is that sort of how it worked?
A little bit, but I didn't really do much with it at that point. And that's when so later on it became chocolate and coffee breaks. I was just focused on the one day. But this led me to thinking, going back to this, what's wrong with business, to looking at having a social mission has meant so much to me. It changed my perspective. It gets me out of bed in the morning. I feel good about myself and the way I present myself, and can have this confidence of I have something to offer to the world.
Right.
And so I went on that exploration. I started podcast Social Mission Revolution, and I explored all of that with that, and spoke to people in business and life who have incorporated social mission and what the difference is that they have had in the world.
Yeah.
And so then that led me to write the 2 books, Compassionate Prosperity When Success Is Not Enough, and Compassionate Purpose, Discovering a Life of Fulfillment.
Oh, I love it. And then you use those as your topics for keynoting?
Yeah. Most of the time I use that, but sometimes there's
Yeah,
other times
depending on
where
who the audience is and all the rest of it.
yeah, there's other times I'm invited in just to talk about chocolate and coffee and get people to connect to each other. So
Yeah, I love that mission. Obviously, I'm very, very passionate about people connecting, particularly women, because it makes a big difference if you've got a support network of other women. Okay, what are 2 takeaways that people would take away from your talk?
2 takeaways. One of them is that when you find your social mission, it's going
Yeah,
to make a big difference to your life and to your business. And of course, I have methodology to do that. But this is what we're here for. This is it. We all want to make a difference in the world. And if we can find that difference, it changes our life.
yeah. If you can tap into whatever it is that makes you feel passionate, makes such a huge difference. I love that. And I also love the fact that you're encouraging organizations to look for that impact that will, make it, not only make a difference, but kind of give everyone a sense of purpose rather than just being counters as such.
Yeah. So the other thing that I like to leave with people is that everyone can make a difference. So if you touch one person's life, you change the world.
You've made a difference already. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it's just one person that you can reach out and touch, so I'm talking to an individual, but businesses can also look at this. How can we change the life of one person? It's an important thing.
Yeah, I think it is very important. So, can you tell me about a memorable speaking experience, something that comes to mind from one of the events that you've spoken at, or the results that someone that you've worked with has had?
Oh,
Talk
it's
about
funny
putting you on
when
the
you
spot.
ask that, which is the most memorable speaking engagement, because so many of them just flash before my eyes. It's this one, this one, this one, this one, this one,
I
this one.
bet.
Uh, but I'm going to go to one that a chocolate and coffee one, where I
Yeah,
was invited to go to a women's retreat and talk about chocolate and coffee.
right audience.
Yeah, but what was amazing with that one is while I'm talking to people and always encouraging them to go out and speak to, share with someone that they don't know,
Yeah,
and a lot of them took that message away. However, what was amazing at that experience was that I was giving them some interactive activities to do while we were doing this.
yeah,
And some of them were sitting with people that they had known their whole life.
and didn't know anything about.
And they were then able to learn new things about that person, and different things just came up. And one of the activities I brought up different topics that people may actually be hiding that they had had.
Yeah, yeah,
And when they were able to identify that someone else in the room has also had that experience that they've kept secret, that maybe they're all right. They're not alone. You are not alone in what you're experiencing. And to me, that really touched my heart when I can see
yeah,
people doing that and having that experience. And when people come to me and with gratitude that what's in their heart has been shared, that they've been able to then share their story, or I've listened to their story, and at a time when they felt like they needed to be heard, they felt like they needed to be recognized in some way. That just takes everything. No money, no anything can take the place of that experience for me, because how people interact, and when they feel like their life is worth living, that they have something to share with the world, I'm happy.
no, I love that. And I think and it just beautifully demonstrates if you affect one person, then you've made that change happen. And if you can replicate that millions of times or thousands of times, that's brilliant. But I love what it is that you talk about. Now, if someone wanted to book you, Andrea, what is the best way of getting in touch with you, other than obviously they can go and find you on womenspeakers.com.au?
That's what I was going to say. You can go to womenspeakers.com.au.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a I have multiple websites and multiple
Okay.
links. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm really easy. I am the only Andrea Putting in the world, so you will find
Oh,
me.
wow. That's a good call.
That I have put all of my links and information onto andreaputting.com, and that's just a page that has all my links onto it.
Okay, fantastic. And obviously, if you go to Women Speakers, you don't have to pay a commission. You can just, Andrea's phone number and email address are on there, and you can just go and book her directly. So thank you so much, Andrea. For anybody else that's watching, if you do need a speaker, please go to womenspeakers.com.au. You're also welcome, if you're looking for a speaker, to go into either the LinkedIn or the Facebook groups for Australian women speakers and post about the event that you're looking for. And I can pretty much guarantee you'll get a whole host of responses of women saying that they would love to speak. And if you are a speaker or you want to be, then sign up to the registry or the directory. And hopefully by gathering us all together, we're going to make it easier for people to find us, and people can contact you directly. You can search in women speakers via topic and location, and very soon you'll have budget as well. So thank you so much for being my guest, Andrea. I hope you get lots of gigs, and I really appreciate all your support as well.
Thank you, Jules. I appreciate your time and what you're doing for us.